this afternoon for that purpose. I think we could get through the SNCC item pretty quickly. It's just a update essentially. And if we could do that, that would certainly help staff schedule this afternoon.
Okay, that'll be item H10.
Oh.
Thanks, thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
For what?
The draft RFP, it wasn't included on the website.
You can have mine.
Oh, this was, this one,
Yes.
I don't have an extra one, this is what I have.
Then I'll use yours,
Same.
or yours.
I don't have
It's not in front of me.
Are you gonna do something? I need to present it.
Okay, H10, who's gonna give the introduction?
Suppose I'll turn it over to Roy. So we, at the board direction, we've been working on this draft request for proposals on the Amity property. We've compiled basically all the information that we can, that we know exists regarding the Hurlong property, and you have that on CD. Thank you. It's very voluminous. These two binders are what that includes.
So that's what's on these?
That's what's on your CD. In hopefully a fashion that you can easily look through, because it's very voluminous.
I started looking at it over the weekend, because they delivered these kind of late on, sometime morning.
Oh, I'm pushing Nancy Summers right off the cliff. She's been working,
She was pretty distressed.
yeah, she's been working really hard, and I just
Thank
would
you.
note that
Thank you, Nancy.
the index did have a change recently. I don't know, Susan, if the last index is up to date, but yeah, I mean, as Richard said, we're just trying to compile everything and anything that would be germane to this disposal. And I apologize for the 3 telephone books, but it is what it is.
And if I could direct your attention to this graphic, the one that's colored. Staff went out and located some important features out there to try to bring a little more clarity to what we're talking about. And if you, I guess we'll kind of start from the south. If you notice the yellow points that go all the way up, there's a yellow line and yellow points that go up along the road. Those are power lines. We located the points of the power poles and lines. The blue area is a pretty good gravel improved road. It's what the dimensions, I think, were over 30 feet.
It's something like that.
Right,
How do you get to that?
the yellow part.
You don't.
Well,
That's why it's good.
Once you get there, it's a good road.
Nobody's driving
the
on it.
yellow line, the first part of the road's meant to keep you out.
Yeah, I know. I drove out there.
Yeah.
Fly in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get to that gravel road.
The green points are gates that are currently open. The red gates, or the red squares, are currently gates that are closed. And then we've looked at the property before. So those are, I think the power lines and the road are important features to be aware of as we market this thing. Those roads, for whatever purpose they were put there, cost a bloody fortune, for sure.
I would guess that it was during the cleanup that they constructed or widened those roads.
Right. And along what we refer to as the East Shore property, there are warning signs throughout it, warning of potential munitions that's going to be out there. That's there. So in anticipation of developing this draft, we contacted the Chicago Title to do a title report. They have estimated 3 months to complete that, and I'm gonna meet with them and see if that can be speeded up in any fashion. Seems like an awful long time. It's kind of a decision point, though, if it is gonna require that long to get a title report, the question becomes, do we wanna proceed with the RFP with the final award pending that report, or do we wanna wait to release the RFP until after we get that title report? I have some mixed feelings about that. I'd like to know exactly what we're talking about before we do that. However, we can always pull the pin at the final hour if we find something that.
What's the cost of the RFP, just staff time?
We're gonna need to do that anyway, so.
Yes,
so-
in terms of just developing the RFP, yeah, staff time, advertising, there will be some advertising involved. Surveyor time, a lot of Maury's time.
I'm just gonna propose that we get the title report for whatever it's worth. I mean, this is what I'm finding. I don't know what the title report's gonna be.
I think that makes sense to get the title report. I mean, it's a pity it takes so long, but maybe we can speed it up, but it seems like it might be doing some unnecessary work and things you have to change. I think the title report is square one. I mean,
And-
hopefully it won't take 3 months.
We could have a preliminary draft.
That's what they're talking about.
You would think, but not so much. Surprised.
But
And I don't know if it's the level of complexity, I don't know really why it's gonna take so long.
It's a
It's
combination.
been initiated, so I mean, the clock is running.
Yeah, it's a combination of things. One, the title company's moving. 2, it's complicated. And 3, apparently they're busy, which is hard to believe, but.
They don't wanna mess up, it's an $86 million piece of land according to Robson.
I hope Rose's got some money to come up here and buy this piece of property.
And another reason I
At
think
least
to get the title
55,000.
report is, I wouldn't wanna damage a potential relationship with somebody that is interested, and then we pull out, oh, by the way, there's this problem or this issue, and
Now, it makes perfectly good sense for the title report.
Well, we need to put some pressure on them to speed that thing up.
Ooh,
Well,
you
I'll
wanna go
certainly
put
be-
pressure on Becky over there?
I will, as a matter of fact. I will. And she knows I will.
And currently, it's our thoughts to keep that almost
38
rectangular
acres.
30-something acre parcel for future county use, whether that be a park or a road shop or who knows what, 100 years from now. Other than that, Maury, did you?
I think that's pretty much it. I just, again, apologize for all the, the indexes, read what you want, don't have to finger through the 2 binders, but look at the index, and if, it seems germane and interesting, read it.
Yes.
I had a couple of questions. One is, what's the timeframe going to be after the RFP goes out for getting the bids in? And 2, what kind of advertising are we looking at to get this out there? I mean, are you looking at Sotheby's and Christie's? I mean, this is a very unique and opportunity that we can, that needs to be advertised in some way other than just local.
Right. So to answer that question, we're exploring that as far as what are the efficient ways to get to these types of investors, for lack of a better word, without spending a lot of money doing that. Hopefully the internet's going to be a good way to advertise that. Obviously, we'll advertise locally in the local newspaper.
Are we looking at multiple parcels with multiple sales, or are we looking at one person?
The direction last week, as I understood it, was to offer the entire thing as one package.
Well, I still think we need to split it, have 2 different, at least a minimum, 2 different deals. That's my personal take. I mean, we have a track record of not doing so good out there with the 2 sales we've had, and the citizens of Lassen County have lost out twice. I mean, let's try and improve on our odds.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's premature right now. We need to get a preliminary title report. That's only something we need to decide on as we're wordsmithing the RFP.
Well, yes and no. If we're gonna break it up It's gonna require some of our surveyors' time to actually go out and probably monument.
Yeah, I kinda thought we debated this too, and it
I
was
did too.
unanimous, not unanimous, it was the majority said to sell it all.
Sell it all.
We did
Well,
decide.
the word on the street, it's already been sold to one guy, so, I mean, you know, it's like, what do we do?
Where's the money?
Yeah,
Really? Well, can I go home?
Yeah.
If we've got the money, great.
Well, I'd love some, I mean, from my perspective, I'd love some clarification on that and put that issue to rest one way or another.
Well, if it requires a motion.
Well, it's
We're
not
gonna put it on the
agenda, it's an
agenda,
action
we need
item.
we need to rehash it again, because I thought it was hashed.
I did too. I thought we had decided that it was gonna go in one part, one piece. So, we just keep bringing the same stuff up and talking about the same stuff. Let's put it to bed. I think it's a folly to split it up. Okay? So,
Okay, we can agendize that,
why
that specific issue.
why should we incur the costs of that? I mean, just let somebody get in there and get it done, and let's get going. Let's start collecting taxes off.
Okay, so as far as this item goes,
Would you like me to agendize that narrow issue?
I think so, because, I mean, we've had a lot of representations made, but there has not been a vote
No,
that, you know, it's aye or nay on that issue, and I think until that vote is taken to, you know, full speed ahead, damn the torpedoes, you know, it's not gonna,
Get the
it's
tower
not gonna
report
get you
go.
anywhere. You gotta get that part done, so.
Okay.
We'll agendize that specific issue.
let's go for the 24th for that.
and then, so that's just gonna be, how are we gonna determine, are we gonna sell it as one piece or multiples or what? Okay.
Yeah. And I think, like I suggested, my recommendation is not regarding splitting it or not, but
Keeping
to
that.
maintain that.
Yeah, I'm
small
all
parcel.
for that. That front piece, absolutely.
Okay, is there any public
What
comment?
I would suggest is that it be done in, not as just as a minute order, but as a resolution. Now, I realize the LRA properties was a failed thing, but at one point, the board voted a resolution that clearly stated, reserve this piece, which was the
Good
cell
idea.
tower, and it said specifically, transfer this piece to the school district, and it specifically said that H&HS was gonna have that, and so there's been a lot of representations made as to what the board did or didn't do, and the grand juries, you know, they're examining it, and the press examines it, and everybody else does. It all comes back to having that resolution that clearly stated what the board directed to be done. Now, whether staff and everybody else did what the board asked or directed to be done is a matter of debate or conjecture. So at least let's have a resolution that specifically says we're gonna reserve this parcel for a fire hall or a park or whatever it may be, and if you're gonna do that. So that way there's a clearly defined document, so that when all the miscues later on are being judged, it can come back to this day at this time in this fashion. And I think that really would help a lot of us.
That's presuming there's gonna be miscues going forward.
Well,
We're gonna avoid
Well,
those.
I mean, we said that the last time and the time before, but I guarantee, Tom, you sit here for 40 years, you're gonna have a head full of miscues.
Well, I'd like to draft that resolution after we have the discussion, so we're not trying to guess what
Okay, that's
that
fine.
resolution says,
that's fine.
and bring it back at a future meeting.
Let's
I just,
agendize it, let's
until that
agendize it, vote
resolution
on
is
it, and move
established,
on.
I think to proceed with an RFP is foolhardy.
So first, we're gonna decide for certain how we're gonna market it, whether multiple parcels or one.
One.
And then after that, then we'll draft the resolution.
And then after that, we'll do the RFP.
Well, the last time we did that, that decision was made in like June of 2011, and the resolution didn't come back to the board until April of 2012. But in the meantime, the meter kept running, and we kept running up bills that we, you know, got forced to have to cough up and pay for it. So hopefully we won't take, Richard, you know, 9 months or however long it is to get to that point, so.
I don't think it will.
I'm quite sure it won't.
I guess that's the difference between a CEO and a CA.
Okay, we're gonna, does anybody have any comment on this?
Yes, Ida McCain here. It is so important that the surveyor that you get for this title, preliminary title,
that it be accurate, because that title report isn't gonna mean zero if it is the surveyor's description of that property is not correct. I'm in a lawsuit. Over $150,000, me. The other people are paid $250,000 on less than a quarter of an acre of land that has a gully going through it. Okay? So I'm just simply saying, your surveyor has to get out there, and that title report will support the surveyor's description.
So, when this property was transferred to us, the federal government didn't do any kind of surveying, or how did they come up with these?
I believe they did, so they did a series of records.
Okay.
It's in the record.
They actually gave us that, but they didn't
They're the-
actually-
they're-
What's that?
With errors.
Well, I know, but
They're
that
what
gives you
known-
something to start with,
They're,
someplace to start.
What's known as the Stantec maps. Stantec was the company.
Okay, I think we can move off this item.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, and that last is, information from the board.
Sure, real quickly, because I'll be out of the county next Tuesday, the 25th, on county business, we plan on scheduling what would normally be the regular meeting, the 25th, on Monday, the 24th, so that agenda will be posted as soon as Susan can get it.
Thursday?
At least 72 hours in advance. I also wanted to mention, I wish we had more time, but Red and I met with representatives from the Fish and Game Commission yesterday regarding the Eagle Lake fish, and the issue specifically is that the Department of Fish and Wildlife is according to them, stocking that lake without much regard to the drought and conditions of the lake. And that's resulting in negative impacts to the fish up there. It's like having too many cattle in a feedlot.
But you're gonna get a lot of people up there fishing, because they're gonna hear about it, and their money's gonna be flowing in Susanville.
And so their suggestion is that they believe the data exists to document over time what the appropriate stocking levels should be, and I'm not very good at describing this, but they would like to work with one of the universities to get a grad student to do basically a study on this, and as ammunition to use with Fish and Wildlife to help direct their stocking rates.
They don't already have that.
No.
They have the information, it just needs to be gathered, formalized, and put in a presentation. And that's they're afraid that the information they have is gonna become stale.
Yeah, I would think Paul Capel could give you all.
He was with us.
He was, yeah,
He was very.
he was a big proponent of this.
He's a big proponent of it. And there's an organization that is interested in paying about 3/4 of the cost of that grad student for a few months. And so we encourage them to put together some sort of proposal and utilize the existing commission's budget to fund the other part of the match. And we obviously bring it back to the board, but wanted to let you know that we're working on that. Hopefully with Chico State or UNR or one of the universities.
Okay,
That's all I have.
all righty then, we will stand adjourned.
So you want to try to put